you guys start recording, please?
Thank you.
Jen, you're going to have to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not make you a.
No worries.
Oh, wait a minute. What did I just do? Hang on. Justin, I'm making you co-host right now.
Recording in progress.
All right, everybody ready?
Yes.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the June 28th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Section 40 of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 allows for the continuation of remote meetings. As such, this meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference and is also being broadcast on cable channel 15 and streamed online by FCTV. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. I'd like to thank our staff for their continued support to this commission and their diligence assisting applicants. We're missing a couple of commissioners at the moment. We expect one to be late. However, we have a quorum, so we're moving forward. And just a reminder to you guys, after commenting, I'll call on each of you at the appropriate time. Let's refrain from speaking over each other. Also, all votes need to be done by roll call. So when I call your name, please state your name and your vote, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public participants, at any time during this meeting, you may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. If you'd like to be heard on a specific hearing, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, I will call for public comment. When you are selected, you'll be moved into the hearing as a participant. As such, you must have your video enabled, be succinct and respectful of others. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Regarding RDAs, under a request for determination of applicability, the applicant is asking the commission to determine if the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and/or the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw apply to their proposed project. A negative determination is that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do not apply. Therefore, the project may proceed as proposed. However, a positive determination means that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do in fact apply. Therefore, the project would require a notice of intent application. Therefore, as an applicant, you kind of want to hear a negative determination. Now, for the benefit of anyone waiting for a particular hearing tonight, and so you're not waiting unnecessarily, the following hearings are expected to be continued. An RDA hearing for 150 Mill Road, a notice of intent hearing for 151 T-Ticket Path. That brings us to the first item on our agenda, which is vote minutes, June 16, 2023.
Chairman, I reviewed the minutes. I'd move approval.
Second, O'Brien.
All right. We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as submitted. Any questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa.
Sorry, Fartog, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
We have accepted the minutes of 6/14. Thank you, Kristen. Next up is a request for a continuance for determination of applicability. John and Jean Devine, 150 Mill Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to reconstruct the garage and install 2 dormers. Ms. Bergeron.
The applicant has requested a continuance until July 12th.
Anyone?
So moved. Pat.
Thank you.
Second, O'Brien.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to continue this RDA request until 7/12. We're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa.
Fartog, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until July 12th. Next up is a request for a continuance under a notice of intent. Constance M. Ryan and Andrew Doyle, 151 T-Ticket Path, Falmouth, Mass., for permission to extend the existing revetment, construct access stairs, and nourish the bank. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until August 2nd.
So
Bartok,
moved,
so
Mr.
moved.
Chairman, Patton.
Freitag, second.
All right. Why is this getting kicked out so far?
They still are saying they are working on, they need additional time to respond to commission comments and conduct additional survey and plan designs. I will reach out to Carla tomorrow and find out what's going on.
Thank you. All right. Bear with me. All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until August 2nd.
Jamie, Melissa
Melissa.
has her hand up.
Yeah, I'm just confirming that they're not doing anything yet with the property, Jen?
No, nothing at all.
Okay, it's no problem. Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this hearing until August 2nd. Next up is a request for a continuance under an enforcement order. Folks, listen up to this because this is going to get kind of screwy in a second. Susan and Gerald Lieber, 0 Lakeshore Drive North, map and parcel number 22-04-027-004A, Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of vegetation and construction of retaining walls within conservation jurisdiction. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until July 19th.
Okay, but explain how this is getting split up, because we're going to hear
So-
one later in the evening, right?
Correct. We advertised this with both 16 Lakeshore Drive and 0 Lakeshore Drive. 16 Lakeshore Drive is ready to proceed, so we'll be proceeding with that enforcement hearing later this evening. They still need additional time to address the issues on 0 Lakeshore, so they are requesting additional time for 0 Lakeshore. Legally, we're covered because they've been advertised. We're just splitting the two properties. It's two separate properties.
Right, I just want clarification because it started as 3 properties.
Yes,
So
101
we're
you have
splitting.
already issued.
So everybody's clear that this is split up into 3 now. So 1 is already taken care of, 1 is now being continued, and we'll hear 1 later in the evening.
Correct.
So the request is to continue this till July 19th. Melissa?
2 questions, please. The first one is, should we make a formal motion to split this one from the other property? Because at the end of the meeting, it's listed as 16 and 0 Lakeshore Drive.
Yes, but I mean, I don't think that's particularly necessary, Melissa. We always have continuances and then they come up later in the hearing, so I don't think it's necessary, but if it makes the board feel better, you can make an official motion to split the 2. I mean, it's 2 separate properties.
Yeah, my other question is this the one that's on the market right now?
No, it's not. That's 101.
Okay. Are they moving forward on that one?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
That enforcement order has already been issued and some of the items have already been addressed.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I have no problem with leaving it like this, so I move that we honor the request for the continuance for 0 Lakeshore North until, did you say July 19th?
Yes,
This year?
yes.
July
Yep.
19th. Freitag. So move.
Thank you.
Pat, second.
All right. So the motion and a second on the table is to continue number 0 until July 19th. Any other questions or comments? Melissa?
One more question, Jen. Do you have confidence that they're going to move forward with the planning on this one?
We have been meeting with them, so we're hoping so. I know they've retained the services of Maria Hickey and Associates to design the restoration component of it, so I am hoping this will move forward on the 19th.
I'm getting a little tired of constantly moving their things out.
Understandable.
I'm tempted to vote no.
Well,
Just
we will let them
because-
know that the board is getting,
I think I mentioned that last time we did this.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, the motion and the second on the table is to continue this till July 19th. We're gonna vote. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, no.
no on the continuance.
Correct.
Steve,
Pat and I.
all right, it's 3-1. It still passes. This is continued until July 19. Next up are requests for determination of applicability. First up, Marion Flerkey, 528 Minot Road, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to vista prune according to FWR 10.18 10B. Ms. Bergeron,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
So move, Patton.
Freitag,
O'Brien,
second.
all right, I heard a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we're gonna vote. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Falmouth Agricultural Commission, 0 Old Meeting House Road, parcel number 28-05-003A-000, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to clear a bog platform of overgrown scrub pines and to mow exterior ditch edges. Ms. Bergeron,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Freitag,
So
so
move,
moved.
all right,
Okay, Freitag, second.
I like the competition. So
Well,
we
there's-
have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
Thank you. It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Stephen F. and Donna M. Foley, 265 Walker Street, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to raise, RAZE, an existing single-family dwelling, construct a new single-family dwelling with a garage, porch, and patio, install a pool, upgrade the existing sewage disposal system, and reconfigure the driveway. Ms. Bergeron,
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed, and this project is solely located in an AE flood zone.
thank you. Melissa,
Will this building be elevated then, because it's in a flood zone? So I noticed there's a wetlands across the street, but it looks like it's 200 feet away.
Yes, it's not in a velocity zone, so it's not proposed on pilings. It will have to meet current flood code, but it's not proposed to be raised voluntarily.
And how is it with swimming pools and flooding area? Is that a good thing, I guess? Since you can empty the pool and then let it fill up with the flood waters, or?
I don't
Do we
believe
have
there's
any
anything in the
rules about that?
regulations about that.
Yeah, there's no
Something in the-
regulation restricting pools in a flood zone. I mean, this is an AE flood zone, as Melissa said, it's not a V zone.
Okay.
So,
I was thinking V zone when I was thinking elevation. Pardon me
Yeah.
for the distraction. Okay,
no worries.
that's it.
all right. I'll take a motion in a second.
Move the
Anybody?
question. Patton.
It's Freitag second. I was waiting for you,
Alright.
Steve.
Don't be shy. All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, the Barrett Associates Road Nominee Trust, 156 Associates Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to replace the decking and handrails on an existing licensed pier and to elevate the seaward end of the pier by 1 step. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -3 under state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
So moved, Patton.
Freitag, second.
All right. Any questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. We're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa.
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Town of Falmouth, 59 Town Hall Square, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to conduct invasive species management of Japanese knotweed. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Melissa.
Yeah, quick question for Jen. Is this the area next to Town Hall where I pointed out all that litter that one time?
Yes, it's the area next to Town Hall. It's also around the building.
Yeah, and will they be picking up all of that, all the liquor bottles and stuff that are back there while they do this?
We can ask DPW to do that, correct?
Please, okay,
Okay.
thanks. That's it.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Steve has his hand raised, Mr. Chairman.
Steve.
Thank you. Frequently, we request people to tell us how they intend to address this issue. This is, fairly sensitive area environmentally. So what are we going to do? Just keep chopping it down? Because obviously we've done that for a couple of years now.
They're going to be treating it. I think at some point, either in July or August, we're actually going to be treating it with an herbicide.
I have August written down.
August.
Okay, just so you're aware of what's going on, conservation wise. Thank
Yep.
you. I'd make a motion to approve.
Freitag, second.
O'Brien. Oh, sorry.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. We're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa.
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, James Heavey, 251 Shore Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to reconstruct and expand an existing deck. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed, and this project is only located in an AE flood zone.
Thank you. Move approval, Patton.
Oh, O'Brien, second.
All right. From polite commissioners. All right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. If there's no questions or comments, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa.
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Douglas Garland, 7 Bullock Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to, all right, this is messed up. For permission to remove, pump dry, fill, and abandon an existing cesspool and to install a Title V sewage disposal system. Are we removing it or filling it? Ms. Bergeron.
Sorry, remove should have been deleted.
I know
Staff
it's irrelevant,
recommends.
but
Yeah, I think it said initially, and that's just not the case. They're going to abandon it. Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed, and this project is also located in an AE flood zone.
thank you.
Question, Freitag.
Melissa?
Yeah, thank you. It mentions they're removing 4 trees, at least 4 trees, so 3 oaks and a pine. Are they going to replace those once they're down? Because I noticed that it is indeed right on the water, the house, and certainly.
Yeah, so
yeah.
they're not to be replaced. There are many trees still left on the property. It's probably maybe a quarter to a fifth of the trees being removed. We did ask about one of them that seemed to be out of the way, but honestly, it's a big tree and the root systems are just, we don't want them to get chopped and then the tree will just die. So there are many left. They are not proposed to be replanted. They'll just be too close to the new leaching field and potentially cause problems.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah,
All
how
right,
long
I'll
until
entertain-
Central Ave is going to be sewered? Is it even, do we even have a
Oh.
plan yet? No.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at how close, I mean, this is right on the water and yeah, okay, great. I'm glad they're getting this as Title V. Thank you.
All right,
So move, Patton.
thank you.
Second, O'Brien.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. If there's no further questions or comments, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Wendy Nicodemus, 7 Compass Circle, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to grandfather an existing dock. Ms. Bergeron,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Accept staff's recommendation, Patton.
Second, O'Brien. Sorry.
don't be shy. All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions or comments? Melissa,
So this is an ex post facto doc. There any like fines to go along with this or
No,
or
this dock has been in
mitigation?
existence since the 70s. The way
Oh.
we grandfather a dock under our regulations is they need to provide proof that it's been in continual use since 78. Jen, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, so
Okay.
this came up as a complaint. They provided the information we needed. So we are approving it in its existing configuration.
Okay, great. If it's been there that long, whatever. Okay. Thanks. I thought it was newer.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I should have addressed that in there.
Yeah, okay.
all right.
It's okay. Thanks.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. We're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Stephen Moynihan, right-of-way between 42 and 46 Cape Cod Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to replace the decking, railing, and stairs on a beach access way. Ms. Bergeron,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Accept staff's recommendation, Patton.
Freitag, second.
O'Brien,
ooh, competition. All right,
And
we
the
have a
next
motion
one.
and motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Thank you to the staff for their diligence with the RDAs. Next up is continued request for determination of applicability. Did we already continue this?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
okay, I thought so. All right, that brings us to requests for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. As a reminder, public commenting is limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage you to stay within the purview of this board, which are the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw, and how they pertain to a particular application. The chair reserves the right to stop any commenting that is disparaging or inconsequential to the hearing. First up, 288 Quistit Avenue Joint Venture, 288 Quistit Avenue, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to remove an existing retaining wall, construct new retaining walls, grade the backyard, and install restoration plantings. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Tim Santos up. There he is. Hi, Tim. From Merrill Engineering to present his project.
All right. Mr. Santos, you're up, sir.
Good evening. For the record, Tim Santos from Merrill Engineers representing the applicant. With your permission, I will share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. The property is located at 288 Quistit Ave. It's been developed since the early 1900s with an existing single-family home, beach house, and pier. The resource areas on or within 100 feet of the property are Quistit Harbor, coastal beach, coastal dune, coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Reason why we are here tonight is the applicant would like to remove the existing wall that is dashed in this area right here and construct a new stone retaining wall to flatten out the backyard, as well as some tiered walls to the southwest. The backyard will be regraded, a new flatter lawn area behind the house, more usable space for them. And the area to the, I guess that'd be to the west of the new walls, this aqua color. That area is all going to be planted with shrubs and meadow mix in accordance with the landscape plan by Stephen Stimson's office. I did provide some redevelopment calcs in the upper right corner between what exists from the old wall to the new walls in the buffer zone B. There is a reduction of 47 square feet. So there are no redevelopment mitigation plantings required, but the applicant is proposing to basically plant the lawn area below the wall with meadow mix as well as native shrubs that are shown on the landscape plan that was provided to your office. Believe this project meets your performance standards. I did get a staff report today from staff and sent an email back to them. They did mention, and I'm not quite sure where the pipe is, but there's a pipe that discharges, I believe it's under these steps in this area here. And the applicant will be more than happy to, at a dry well, to eliminate that discharge. And the board could condition that if they wish. Also with me this evening is Joe Waller from Stephen Stimson's office and Jonathan Searles from Tavares, who'll be doing the site work. Yeah, you don't really need to promote them right now, only if the board has any questions that I can't address. So I will stop sharing and answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Tim. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Tim, the pipe is underneath the stairs. So we can show you, we have a great picture of it, so we can send that your way tomorrow. And just let you know, it looks like it's literally diverting the water right onto the neighbor's property. So that should be addressed.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I did speak with the owners, and they said that during the removal of the old wall and the regrading, they could cut it back and the dry well will be installed. That's not an issue.
That pipe. Perfect.
Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, I just promoted Courtney Bird into the hearing. So excellent. That's all I have.
Ms. Bergeron?
I have no additional comments. Thank you.
All right. Courtney, did you hear the beginning?
I did not get in on the beginning, so
And I'm not going to have you on the quorum. All right, we may have you review the beginning, so stick around. All right, commissioner comments. We're going to start at the end for the beginning. Steve.
Thank you for allowing me to go first, but this is a nice, clean plan. Good job. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Melissa.
Thank you, Jamie. Couple of questions actually for, I guess, for Joe. About the planting plan.
That's okay. I'll promote Joe Waller up. Give me one
Thank you.
second. Oh, where'd he go? Oh, there he is. I've promoted Joe Waller up, Mr. Chairman. Hello, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Joe. Hey, some quick questions. I know that you guys and Steve do a fantastic job with your landscape design and stuff, but actually two questions. One, it has been pointed out that a bunch of the, I guess it's viburnum, I can't tell on this plan, the bigger circles or something, maybe it's not viburnum, something to the south of the house is outside of our area, and I'm wondering if you folks can actually, you know, I mean, I guess since there is no requirement for the
We do have shrubs
plantings.
located just above the coastal bank as well. Melissa, do you see those? Down along those steps on the.
Oh yeah, you do have some down the bottom there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right over here, but I was just thinking that instead of up in here, maybe they could also come down towards the bottom. But I guess since you don't actually have to have any plantings, and that's probably a good thing that you have in there. But I wanted to know about your meadow mix. Is it a custom designed meadows mix by you folks, or what's in it? Because I know that sometimes people scatter those wildflower seed stuff, and none of it's native. So
Yeah.
Please tell me about your meadow mix.
Right. We're still to determine whether who would supply it, but it will be a native mix, a maritime grassland mix of appropriate grass, warm season, cool season grasses, and forbs, all native, indigenous to Barnstable.
Okay, something that blossoms for bees and butterflies and stuff
All
like
good
that.
stuff.
So
Yes.
please make sure that it's native mix and not something pulled out of the sky. And then
Full agreement on that.
yeah, and then I also noticed when I was there that obviously the place has been mowed a lot because the area is short, and I don't believe that that's really allowed that close to the water down below. So maybe if you put in something that only needs to be maintained. I don't know, what are our rules, Jen and Alyssa? Is one allowed to mow within, once a year or something like that, or to maintain?
Are you talking about the existing lawn areas?
Yeah, the
Or like-
existing lawn all the way down below the rock wall that exists right now is all mowed.
Right.
And but that's all within 50 and 100 feet of the water.
I did review aerial photos. It has been lawn since the early 2000s. So if it's been lawn, the board has allowed it to be maintained. If it was, part of the salt marsh or some sort of restoration, you guys might feel differently about that. So the coastal meadow mix, you could chat about, but if it's typically just lawn
Okay.
grass, it gets mowed.
Okay, well, I'd hope that the coastal meadow mix will be such that it won't, that it will work on its own and thrive on its own. I know that I like my no mow May and June here. So please keep it local, okay, Joe?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it for Joe. And then I have two quick questions for Jen and Alyssa, maybe, if I may. Just confirming that both the stairway and the dock are permitted or have been grandfathered in somehow.
The dock is permitted. They had a filing not too long ago for
Okay.
some kind of reconstruction on it. I didn't look too much into it,
Okay.
other than to see what it was. And the stairway, I've looked back through all the old plans. It's been there.
Okay.
I think that might have even been there, decades and decades.
Okay. And I'm assuming that's the same with the boathouse too, that it's been there forever.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. Then I have no more questions. It's great.
All right.
Yeah, I'd love to see it when it's done. Thanks.
Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Nice clean project. Thank you. Courtney, if you only missed like the first minute, I just ask you to go back and review it later.
Yeah, I will. I sort of jumped in at the end of Tim's presentation. It looked great, but of course I missed the beginning of it.
Okay.
I'm sure it was just as good as when I saw it, Tim. But we'll review the tape.
All right. Having seen the plan, do you have any questions or comments, Courtney?
No.
Okay. All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat.
All right. What are you thinking, folks?
I'm thinking to close the hearing and take it under advisement, Patton.
Freitag can second
O'Brien.
that. Oh,
All right.
Whoever.
We have a motion and multiple seconds for to close the hearing. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed the hearing. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Have a safe and happy 4th of July, everyone, too.
You
Thank
as
you,
well.
Tim. Good night.
You too, you guys.
Next up, Margaret R. Coppola, trustee, Coppola Revocable Trust, 286 Sippowisset Road, Falmouth, Mass, for after-the-fact permission for a patio, spa, and walkways, for permission to construct a second-floor addition, enlarge an existing deck, and relocate a shed, and to install mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am promoting Raul from Cape and Islands up to present his project.
All right. Mr. Lozada, you're up, sir.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant and the homeowner of this project. And if I could, I would like to start sharing my screen.
Yes, sir.
So this project is at 286 Sippowisset Road. There is an existing single-family dwelling, and the project is Falmouth, West Falmouth, kind of in the neighborhood of Sippowisset Road, highlighted in this locus map. The property has several wetlands, land subject to coastal storm flowage. There is an isolated land subject to flooding, which is this isolated wetland at this location. And there is also, due to the steepness of the slopes, there is a coastal bank surrounding the house. If I zoom in closer to the project, there's an existing single-family dwelling, and what the homeowner wants to do is add or expand on the second floor. There is a second floor on the property. What they want to do is expand on that second floor. And if I can show a picture of the house, this is what the house looks like, but this attic over here has a partial second floor. What they want to do is expand on that. It was read into the notice that this is also partially for after the fact. What has happened is that in 2018, the property owner got permission under an RDA to build these hardscape steps. However, the hardscape steps did not include landings. So there is a square foot of landing at two different locations that were in exceedance of what was permitted in 2018. So we're calling for that to be included in this permit. Also, if we go back to the site plan, something we noticed that back in 2018 did not exist on the property. On the back of the house, there's a spa and a paver patio. This area used to be lawn, so it was still used as a yard for the homeowner, but these particular structures were not in existence. So we're calling that as part of this application for an after the fact filing. In addition to the second floor expansion on the house, there is an existing deck at this location. The homeowner wants to expand on the deck, and the deck is going to get about twice the size of what it is today. We also noticed that there's a little shed, 33 square feet in this location that was not depicted on filings from 2018. So we're also calling that to be an after the fact approval. Now, something that was mentioned through staff report was that the way we calculated mitigation required area is not the typical 2-to-1 and 3-to-1 for buffer zones B and buffer zone A's. The reference in the bylaw that we are using is under section 10.18, 7E, 4, and 5, where it does say that the total area for mitigation required shall not exceed that which would completely revegetate an area equivalent to the buffer zone A. So for this project, the majority of the property is naturally vegetated. What's happened is that there is 18,050 or more or less square feet of natural vegetated areas. The buffer zone A is 15,000. So the property already exceeds the buffer zone A equivalency by over 3,000 square feet. So what we propose in this project is we're proposing a 1-to-1 mitigation in terms of the expanded development. So on the plan that we submitted, we showed, I go back to my site plan. We have that table that we typically show the required mitigation. So we have that in buffer zone A, there is 342 square foot expanded development. In buffer zone B, there is 33 square feet. So what we understand by the regulation is that the required mitigation would not apply as the 2-to-1 or 1-to-1. That same section that says that the mitigation area should not be one that exceeds the buffer zone A equivalency says that an improvement should be proposed. So what we're proposing as the improvement is some mitigation, some plantings. What we had calculated was 1-to-1, roughly 380 square feet. When staff went to the site, they did notice that an area that I had selected of about 180 square feet is currently revegetating itself. When we did the survey, if I go back to this image, this is the area when we surveyed that was 180 square feet that we're proposing to vegetate with native species. But when staff went, I believe this week, this area, and I admit that I haven't gone this spring to the property, but this area has been taken over apparently by invasives, but something is growing in this area. It's about 180 square feet. The rest of the area that we were proposing for mitigation is by relocating the little 33 square foot shed. We're proposing to store this 200 square feet with native vegetation. So this 180 is the one that if the area is being overtaken by invasives, we can agree to remove those invasives and plant them with some native shrubs and the sorts, according to the list that we provided. There was another permit done in the past in 2012, I believe, or 2002, I'm sorry. The septic system was upgraded. So this property already has a Title V septic system. So I will stop sharing for now and I'll be ready for any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Raul. Jen?
Yes, Raul, we would like those mitigations, the correct mitigation calculations put on the plan, even though you said it, and need them on the plan. The regulation that you cited has never been interpreted that way or implemented that way before. The problem I have with that language is, you know, you'll, not you personally, but if this property sells and another owner wants to come You know, they could build whatever they wanted in zone B, and then that vegetation, that equivalent to zone A doesn't exist anymore. So it's never been interpreted or applied the way you are trying to apply that regulation to this project. So that's all I have to say, on the mitigation, Raul. I know you have a tight site, I really do. Can you tell me again what, if we just did it not correctly, or how we normally do it, how much mitigation would be required?
So if we were to apply 3 times the zone A, let me get my engineering cap on.
I've got
Don't
170
you ever
feet
take it
here.
off.
1,092.
1,092. And then for the, okay. And then that little shed is going in zone B, so that would be what?
So the shed, well, I already calculated the 2 times zone B. So that 1,092 included the 3 times A and 2 times B.
Okay, perfect, that included everything. And you're proposing. Oh, I see.
Proposing 380, the majority in A.
380. 380, okay. Again, for the board, that particular regulation that Raul quoted has never been applied the way it is being applied in this case. So, I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Chairman. We, from a staff point of view, we can't support that. And that's all I have.
All right, Raul.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, in 2018, when the 2 walkways were proposed as steps, it was determined at that RDA application that because the site was so heavily vegetated, the mitigation planting was not required, because even in 2018, when the RDA was presented and approved, there was mitigation proposed. And this commission determined that the mitigation was not required given the state of natural vegetation. Now, this is one of those sites that the property is 25,000 square feet, 18,000 of it, it's already vegetated, and almost the entire 100% of the lot is in jurisdiction. Even if in the future somebody wanted to do something in the B zone, it was still required to go through this process. And it was still required to at least provide that 15,000 buffer zone A equivalency, even if it spills over into the B zone. That's how I've seen this regulation, and that's how I read it. So yeah, it's intended for those sites that are heavily vegetated as it is.
You don't know
Thank
what Raul, you can't tell me that you know what the intent of that regulation was. You didn't write it. So again, it's never been applied in this way in the past, and I see a very slippery slope if the commission goes forward with this. And yes, in 18, we might have made that determination. You were proposing 2 little walkways. Now you've expanded those walkways, right? Those walkways, I believe, were expanded, were they not, Alyssa?
Yes.
Yes, the
Yeah, so
walkways,
they're-
because of the landings, they're
So you
covering more square
expanded,
footage.
yeah, without a permit. The gravel was put in the zone A down at the end of the driveway, so we have to account for that. So there's been a lot of work that's been done on this property without the benefit of a permit.
The
and some
gravel,
of that area,
yeah,
you
I
know,
don't know what to say about the gravel. I know there was a driveway there, but I don't know what to say about the gravel.
yeah. So there are some issues that staff has some concerns with on this site. I think I might be all set now, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Okay, Ms. Bergeron.
Thank you. 3 things. Raul, I mentioned the gravel because on that 2018 plan, it was solely marked as grass driveway. I don't recall seeing a photo of it, but I can certainly check for you on that. I have a couple concerns with the 180 square foot mitigation area. If you were to remove the invasives to plant, it's clear they're pretty aggressive out there. there, so you would need some kind of separation between the two or barrier of sorts, or those new little mitigation plants are just going to be overtaken. I added the note about the 2018 lack of mitigation being required because that's simply what happened. The agents at the time made that recommendation. I don't think it's appropriate for an agent to make that recommendation, as it's our job to stick to the regulations and be unbiased for the board to make that call. That's your guys' position. And I think that, you know, if a property requires mitigation at the staff level, we're going to agree that that 1,092 is what's required, or the project is reduced in scope so that those 380 square foot areas are the only areas available to be planted unless they utilize that grass driveway. So it's in the board's hands on how they'd like to proceed.
One
Thank you.
question, Raul, why isn't that grass driveway being utilized for plantings? I mean, you have that entire grass strip, that's zone A, you could get more plantings in that area.
That's the area where the septic tank and septic pipes are located.
In the grass driveway?
Yes.
The septic, is the leaching field in there as well?
No, the leaching field is over to the side of the road, the other side road. If you like, I can share my screen so I can point
Please
it out.
do.
So the location of the tanks, they're shown on this plan based on the design plan. The two tanks are here, but given the edge of clearing and the lawn, it's likely that they're over here. There's a pipe that goes from the house to the tanks, and from the tanks to the leaching field that's over here.
So Jen, if we required that mitigation, that's where you'd want to see it. And I mean, the place is pretty heavily vegetated, so that's the logical place for it.
Well, I don't want it interfering with the leaching field, but I mean, I've seen plenty of designs where they don't have the room to put the mitigation and they're putting them right on top of the septic tank. So I don't particularly agree with that approach. So thank you for pointing that out to me, Raul, because I have seen plans with vegetation right over the leaching field, which is just quite silly.
So if I could add, we did talk with the developers for this project after we got staff report, and they are willing to find space for the 1,000 square foot mitigation if that's what the board chooses. I do want to say there is 18,000 square feet of the land that's already vegetated. There is this grass driveway. There is fences along the two sides of the driveway. Outside of the fence is already naturally vegetated. The inside is mowed. If we were to kind of use that area, I can do a strip on either one of the two sides of mitigation plantings, probably keeping myself a good 8 foot clear. A septic tank is usually 8 foot wide, around 7 feet. So that would at least allow the tank to not have any problems if it has to be serviced.
I mean, it'll give you something up in that zone A, but it's not going to give you that 1,000 square feet, Raul.
Right, the 1,000 square feet in the zone A, I don't think we have available spaces anywhere unless we plant against the house.
Yeah. So, okay. There simply isn't room on the lot, Mr. Chairman, for the required plantings in the regulations. But again, as Raul pointed out, it's a fairly heavy vegetated lot, so the board can make, if the board sees your way to approve the project as presented, we can make the appropriate findings and make sure that if any future development on the site does not remove that equivalent to zone A. But I just find that to be a very slippery slope. Because the regulation has never been applied that way since we voted the regulations in 2008. So we're going on like like 15 years, the regulation's never been applied like that.
Okay, so this would get hammered out in deliberations, correct? Not to say people won't question it tonight, that's fine. The other thing is, I mean, we've had projects before that couldn't have, we couldn't fit mitigation because the properties were so heavily vegetated, so. All right, we're gonna go with commissioner comments. Courtney,
Yeah, I agree with Jamie with your analysis. This is a tough situation, and my feeling is that Jen makes a very sound point that we've got to be very careful how we go down these roads, and I want to be comfortable that we're not setting a precedent. On the other hand, the project seems it's constrained by a tough site. And my suggestion would be that perhaps we continue this, and that staff and Tim, Raul, try to work out the details of this so that everybody's comfortable and then bring it back to us. Does that sound like such an unreasonable idea? If it is, I'll go away.
it's not bad, it's just they've each said their point, so.
No, and I mean,
we as a board have to decide if we think that
right. No, I agree. And I don't personally have that big a problem with the project. It's just, I want to make sure that we're not in a sense setting up a precedent where we give away the store. So
right, we also have to look at it.
How that gets reconciled, I don't really care how it's reconciled as long as everybody's comfort zone is good. And I mean, I'd like to be able to approve the project, and I think it probably is. It's just going to have to be everybody's kind of got to figure out how to make the regulations or the needs of the client and the regulations mesh, and that involves, I think that can be dealt with off camera, if you will.
All right. Raul, where did you say the shed was going? If you did, I missed it, and I apologize.
So yes, let me show it back in the screen.
It's difficult to see the original location of it. It's actually moved on the plan. I noticed that
So
when Raul pointed it out.
If I zoom into it, right now, the shed is in this location.
Okay. Yeah,
and
I
it's
got
moving
it.
to this one.
No, I got it. I looked too quick. I'm sorry.
I know it's tough
Can you
to
have
see
it
Jamie,
there,
on the plan.
zoning?
I'm sorry?
You can't have a shed in the front yard, can you? It's not our purview. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know.
Existing? I don't know. But never mind. Don't answer that. Never mind. We already got enough trouble. We don't need more. All right. Commissioner comments. Kevin.
Just very uncomfortable about approving it. I think it could be workable, but not as being presented tonight. I mean, it sounds as though on the one hand, we're breaking new ground with one of our rules. That's all.
Okay. All right. Melissa.
Oh, thank you very much. Lots of comments. Raul, how many trees? No, no trees tonight. Thoughts about the property. I mean, the first thing that I thought when I pulled into the driveway and I walked up those stairs was, gee, there are hydrangeas on either side of the stairs. I don't recall ever seeing hydrangeas being a part of any mitigation plantings. And now, of course, after having read the notes, the staff notes, there were no mitigation plantings involved with the stairs. And I'm wondering if those mulched over beds, if you go up the first set of stairs going from the driveway up on the left, there's almost nothing there. It's just mulch. I mean, there's some land right there that can take some mitigation plantings. To the other side, there are 5 hydrangeas. Up at the top, there are hydrangeas along the other steps too. I mean, those mulched over areas might be places to put in some more mitigation plantings, because none of that stuff is native. But I was also looking at the lawn driveway when I was there, and thank you for pointing out the septic tanks. But even with the septic tanks, if they are where you have them on the plan that I have in front of me, there's still at least 20 feet from the bottom of the steps to the edge of the tank, and 10 feet at least across. So that's over 200 feet. But also, you know, the fact that there's 170 square feet of unpermitted structure in the backyard there. I mean, 3 times 170 is 510 feet of mitigation. Maybe somebody's going to have to tell the owner that the deck cannot be expanded, and maybe that the shed needs to be removed, and they can use under the deck for storage of something, you know, just tucking whatever in there. Because, I mean, to follow up on with what Jamie said, yeah, I don't think you're allowed to have sheds in the front yard, but you know, that's a reality of the world, is that you can't always do what you really want to do. And, you know, we're here to hear the ideas and to follow our regulations and to apply our regulations. And, you know, if your wishes are outside of the regulations, then maybe you have to amend your wishes a little bit. So I think you can find, I'd be willing to go to 1,000 feet maybe for this, but you know, if you remove the shed and you don't expand the deck, then that's a lot less mitigation planting that's needed. Yeah, I just, it is awfully tight in there. There were a lot of invasives around the wetland as well. But I was also curious about that long lawn driveway thing. That it's even labeled a driveway is interesting, because it can't go through to the other driveway. So I think that would be a great place to put in some mitigation, some more plantings. And I'll leave it at that, because I agree with what Jen said regarding our regulations. Thank you, Jamie.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
if I
you.
could answer some of that. So when we did the survey and we located all the existing developments on the site, we did reach back to the homeowner and indicated them that there were things that we located that we could not trace any permits for. And we did reach out to conservation staff to review this matter. The homeowner wants to keep the spa and the paver patio on the back. So we just said, if we do that, then we have to compensate in the form of mitigation. So, and they were okay. They were saying, yeah, so we'll just put some plantings in. The deck, they do want to put a larger deck. Right now, the existing deck is barely 4 feet wide, which is just a walkway. So this will be something like an 8-foot wide deck, which is more usable. And yeah, we did review with the developer, and they're willing to, if the commission chooses to have the 1,000 square foot mitigation planting, they're willing to do that. If we have to reposition the 180 because the area is already being taken over by some plants, yeah, we can use the lawn driveway. The lawn driveway was shown as a path, as a lawn path in the septic plan from 2002, and conservation records do have that plan. So I believe that the gate and the fences along the sides of this path was something that happened after the septic tanks were installed, but I wasn't around there, so I'm not completely sure. But yeah, if the commission is wanting to see the 1,000 square foot mitigation, I can easily revise the plan, show strips along the 2 sides of that kind of lawn path, and just add it up to that 1,000 square feet.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Thank you.
All right, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm more with your comments, Jamie. The site is, it's hard to find the space to do it, although, and the improvements need to be mitigated. So I think Raul's talking like he's ready to take that on. I think that's what's the best determination for us at this point.
a logical solution for the issue at hand. So the only question that I would have, Jen, is we could condition it and have Raul give us a revised plan. I mean, I don't know that we need to continue for that, do we? To show the additional.
Jamie, I'm sorry, can you repeat what you just said? My whole screen just froze.
Okay. So if we condition that we want the additional, for lack of a better word, mitigation, the 1,000 plus, we could just have Raul revise a plan and give it to you, as opposed to, do we need to continue this for that purpose?
I'd prefer to see, I'd prefer a continuance so we can review the plan, and see if it's
Okay.
acceptable to staff. Sorry, but that's a lot to add to a plan.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wanted that clarification.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for one way or the other, just simply the clarification.
Might I
Okay.
make a motion, Jamie?
No, not yet. So, all right. So Jen, do we have anything in the public chat function, please?
That's right.
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I saw a couple hands, so that's why I wanted to stall. So any other questions or comments from the commission? Courtney?
No, I was gonna make a motion.
All right, hold on. Raul, do you have anything to add at this point?
So if the commission agrees that all we're looking for is a revised plan to show the additional mitigation planting, I can produce that plan by next week. Could I get a hearing for the next available date if there is something early in July?
Well, either it'd be July 12th or the July 19th. I was just trying to look up the schedule. I didn't print it, and that's why my whole computer froze. Alyssa, do you have any idea how many continuances we have on the 12th or the 19th at this time?
The 12th, I believe there was only one. It was Spencer Barrett. I'm not sure if they've gotten on the select board agenda yet and would be
Okay.
ready for that. I'm not sure if you're in the know about that. I believe we have a full stock of RDAs and notices. I think there's 5 new notices, 8 new RDAs.
And we have the other
So
business on the
if
12th.
this is quick, then that could work for the 12th, if the board sees fit.
Yeah, Jamie, we have 5 new notices, 8 RDAs, 1 continued, and a discussion with council at first. So it could either go on the 12th or the 19th. It's up to you. It should be fairly quick. If Raul can get us the plan, we can go back and forth with Raul. So I would-
Yeah, as long as we're clear on what we're expecting from him. I mean, I would think, sorry, Raul, I don't mean to talk like you're not here. Melissa, put your hand down. I'll call on everybody afterwards. So, you know, if that's all we're looking for, then that should be I know.
Okay.
So in that regard, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't add it. Melissa?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I do think a continuance is warranted on this, but also a reminder that I won't be here on the 12th. And so that would, since we're a really small group right now, that would require that you 4 gentlemen were guaranteed to be here for the quorum for that, to hear it again.
Hear that,
Thank
Courtney?
you.
I mean, I understand we're trying to move the process on and not drag it out, but I'm not comfortable, trying to condition it. I would rather have a continue.
We've already accepted that it's going to be continued.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion to continue this till the 12th. How's
I think the
that?
question,
Thank you,
Courtney, was, are you
Brian.
going to be there? Are you going to be there, Courtney?
I'll
The
be
question-
there.
Okay.
Presumably I'll be done with this house that I'm working on, which is why I was late.
Well, Courtney, you will be required to be here on the 12th. So if I can just
Well, no
confirm-
problem. By that time,
Thank you.
I will be in full retirement mode.
Thank you.
All right, Jen, go backwards for a second. I believe I asked you if there was anything in the public chat function, but
There's nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
okay, I didn't check it off, so I wanted to make sure.
Nope.
Okay, so we have a motion to continue this until 7:12. Do I have a second?
Second, O'Brien.
All right. We have a motion and a second to continue this till 7:12. and it's solely for the purpose of, if you will, a revision to the mitigation calculations and location. Is that clear to you, Raul?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. If there's nothing else, good. We're voting. This is to continue the hearing to 7:12. Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa.
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until July 12. Thank you.
Raul, are you
Sorry.
staying
Thanks,
in or you're going to stay for the next one or?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
saying.
Sorry, I missed you, Raul, on the 12th. I look forward to seeing the plans. Okay.
All right.
That was a very
Next.
educational session. Thank you all. I enjoyed that. I really did. That was interesting, bringing up that point, Raul. I don't know that we've ever applied it before, Mr. Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'm so out of order. I apologize.
Oh, no. This is all
It's
good,
always
man.
good to learn. It's always good
This
to
is
learn
good.
more.
It's good to have these boring ones that just go right through once in a while, but you know, sometimes the stimuli is just so welcome. All right, moving forward. John and Heidi
Interesting.
Gugliotta, 219 Great Bay Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise, RAZE, an existing single-family dwelling, construct a new single-family dwelling, reconfigure the driveway and concrete walkway, and install mitigation plantings. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Raul from Cape and Islands is here to present his project.
Mr. Luzardi, you're up, sir.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant and property owners for 219 Great Bay Street. If I could share my screen.
Yes, sir.
So the property is in East Falmouth. It's just located in Mara Vista. Actually, I think this is Falmouth, not East Falmouth. Just off the western shores of Great Pond. This locus map shows more or less the location of the site. It is serviced by town sewer. What we filed is a notice of intent application to raise and rebuild the existing dwelling. The wetlands within 100 feet and on the property there's a salt marsh associated with Great Pond. There is Great Pond, which is land under the ocean. There is a coastal bank across the street to the east of the property. There is velocity zones and 100-foot flood zone. So the resources are, all of them are to the east of the project and to the property. But the property is within the A zone to the coastal bank, which is 75 feet in this case, because it's an eroding coastal bank in the velocity zone, and the 100 feet to the salt marsh. So there's a combined Falmouth buffer zone A that traverses the property at that location. The remainder of the buffer zone to the coastal bank is the buffer zone B, which traverses the property at that location. So the project is to raise and rebuild the house. The house is intended in the same footprint, and there's other modifications to the existing development. The existing paved driveway is going to be removed and replaced with a gravel or crushed shell driveway. There is some areas of paved walkways that are being removed and some areas that are being proposed to remain. There is going to be a garage under in this house through this location. So there's an expansion of driveway, gravel driveway to access that garage. The property does require mitigation. 63 square feet of mitigation is proposed to meet the compliance of that mitigation at this location. It is within the A zone. This project might be familiar to some of these board members. There was an application approved before for raising the grades around the house. That project has been done. The grades were raised to elevation 12.5. There is an existing downspout at this location that suddenly terminates. We agree that we can put a dry well at that location so that we can collect the runoff from that downspout and send it into subsurface leaching. So that's basically the intent of this project. Overall, there is increasing development in the buffers. So there is proposed mitigation. The hard surfaces, impervious surfaces are being converted in the driveway to crushed stone or crushed shells. So that's an improvement to reduce surface runoff. There is comments about existing development in what is the road layout. Technically, this is the property line. That's the road layout. However, this is one of those old sites in town. When the road was built, it was not built within the layout. So it was built at that location. So there's most of the driveway that access the property is within the road layout just to have access to the road and access the property. And the front walkway at this location that exists, it's an existing condition. We're just reducing the amount of development at this location. That's the summary of this project. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks, Raul. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Raul, we sent this over to the town engineer for him to take a look at all that stuff, all those elements in the road layout, and he has requested that when you rebuild the walkway, you rebuild it on your property and not inside the town road layout, as well as the fences that he would like, the little picket fences that were installed at some point in 2019. He would like those picket fences also to be removed within the town road layout. It's not your client's property. We shouldn't have your client's walkway and fences in the road layout. I understand that the road was not built within the road layout, but that was the determination by the town engineer. Is it possible to do that? Redesign it so the walkway is on your client's property? The driveway don't matter. The driveway doesn't matter. We're just solely talking about the fences and the walkway.
So I believe the walkway is not a problem. Most of the walkway that's being removed right now is on the property. So
Yeah.
it'll be just a matter of just flipping it
Shifting.
over. It will have to cross the property line because the driveway ends before the property line. So to get to the driveway, it has to cross the property line. Walkways in road layouts that lead to a front house is not something unusual. But yes, we can flip over the majority of the portion, but then it has to return back to the driveway to access the driveway.
Well, you're cutting off a portion of the driveway to reduce your mitigation. So if you didn't do that, could the walkway be built solely on your client's property? It can be done. You just have to extend the driveway.
So we can make a bigger driveway and relocate the walkway. It just takes.
You're removing a portion of the driveway. You're making the driveway smaller, and now you're saying you have to cross over to town property to reach the driveway that you're reducing in size.
So I see your point. So it's a wash because right now that portion of the driveway is proposed for walkway. Instead of being walkway, it becomes driveway. So what we're asking is get more driveway. So yes, I can do it.
Thank you. And like I said, we just noticed it was in the town road layout. When we noticed something on, within the town's property or within the road layouts, we generally ask the engineering department for some sort of referral. It kind of called up and said, what do you want us to do in this situation? And again, the town engineer's reply is request that they put it on their property. So that's coming from the town, Raul. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
I think that can, I'm sorry, I think, Raul, that can be handled with a simple, you can change the plan and submit it to us and we'll condition it. Okay.
See, Raul, this is why I don't have hair, because we just split hairs so much. Mine are gone. All right. Ms. Bergeron.
Just one comment, Raul, you mentioned during your presentation about adding a dry well, and that's for the runoff on the photo that I attached. Is that
Yes.
area? Okay, great. Thanks so
Right.
much.
We currently have 2 dry wells proposed. We weren't unaware that that one downspout was discharging to surface at that location. We did notice it when we did the as-built when they picked the fill around the house, but it was still a longer pipe, so we thought it was still going to be connected to a dry well. It looks like at some point they just stopped, but no, for this project, we either add a new dry well or we send that pipe all the way to one of the back dry wells.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments. Melissa, we're going to start with you.
Great, thank you, Jamie. Just wondering, okay, so it says here that you're gonna be using straw rolls to protect the waterway there? I mean, what are you gonna be using? If you're raising the house, there's gonna be a lot of trucks and construction and, I mean,
So
a lot of construction vehicles.
the house is going to be rebuilt on the foundation that's there. So
Okay.
there is going to be excavation because we have some dry wells to put in. We're going to be removing some hard surfaces, so there's some excavation. Now, this property, it's fairly flat. So silt fence with straw wattles in front should be sufficient. Hay bales, if we try to use hay bales because of the bulkiness of them, they do take more space from what could be used for access. But if the commission prefers hay bales, he will still be.
I'd rather see straw than over hay. Hay is food for animals and has lots of seeds. No, I was thinking. Straw. Okay. I was thinking though the wattles.
The wattles is my preference in this location. Yeah. It is a small lot and it is fairly flat. The front of the property is around elevation 10. The back of the property is around elevation 11 and a half, and 12s. So we can do with wattles if the commission agrees to that.
Okay, I was just wondering what you were planning on using, and it sounds fine then. And I mean, I'm glad that you're removing the concrete and you're replacing it with, you said gravel, right? Did you say you're making it a gravel driveway or a shell driveway?
Well, it says stone/shell, so it's something pervious. Stone
well, it's not though. I mean, it's pervious, but grass doesn't grow up through it, and green stuff doesn't grow up through it. I noticed that you're doing the 2 strips to get around to the driveway, or to the garage. Have you thought of replacing the driveway with the strips, perhaps, to open up some more pervious area?
No,
property.
They still want.
Yeah, that's true. It's still not on their property. You're right now.
They still want the gravel main driveway for guest parking. So that will still be proposed. The improvement in the eyes of, or in the point of the driveway, is that it's going from a completely impervious surface to a pervious surface.
To a partially pervious surface. Okay. Jen, so the town is okay then with the driveway being converted to gravel. I heard a lot of conversation about the driveway, but just confirming.
That's fine.
Okay.
The town engineer did not say anything about the driveway, and we commonly see driveways over road layouts.
Yeah.
I also want to point out this piece of road, Great Bay Street, it's a gravel road.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Oh, believe me, I know. I was there. I know that. But we're not changing the road. We're just trying to make things more pervious than what we have. Okay. Really, no further questions then, I guess, except for that on Google Maps, it shows that the property is actually over the property line, or the house is actually over the property line. But Mass Mapper has it.
Don't believe that.
Yeah, Mass Mapper looks like it's just on the property line there, and you have it being 9 feet from the property line. So,
yeah, we've seen this before. A lot of people sometimes use GIS information as accurate information. We do not do that. We do have bounds located. The plan shows bounds that we locate, so we're comfortable with the house not beyond the property.
Okay, and the shed, that's beyond our purview. Okay, fine, no problem. Thank you, that's it.
All right, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the only questions I had were related to the driveway in the front. And point out that the road is very not busy.
A technical term? Yeah, because yeah. All right, Courtney.
Jamie, can I,
I have nothing particularly new to add other than to say that Rule, your clients present you with some interesting creative engineering opportunities. No other comments.
He's so good. He's just keeping us from getting bored with these, same old project that just always conforms and no big deal, I mean, you got to give him credit.
hey, but
All right,
Jamie, Jamie, a question for you. Aren't sheds supposed to be more than 10 feet from the property line?
No, 3 feet.
3 feet, when did that change? Wow, okay.
It's
You're
related to
allowed
the
to do
size.
under 200 square feet.
Okay.
You don't even need a permit. And then,
Building permit clarification, you do not need a building permit, you still need a conservation permit.
Okay.
sorry, yes. Yeah, but where zoning's concerned, it's under 200 square feet is 5 feet roll. And then under 100 square feet is 3 feet, something like that.
I'll have
It's
to
not
look
10,
at,
I know that.
yeah, I'll have to look at the brochure because I
Yeah.
don't even think it's a regulation.
Of course,
Yeah,
there's
you're
a
right.
regulation about.
No, it's actually a
sheds,
guidance.
no?
All right.
Oh, okay, cool, thanks, sorry,
No, it's okay.
that's it.
Kevin,
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Awesome.
and is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Raul, do you have anything to
Thunder
add?
again.
All set.
All right. I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move that we close this hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird second.
That was Freitag who moved.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. If there's nothing further, we're voting. Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve?
And I.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Raul.
Thank you.
Raul.
Good night, everyone.
Night,
Happy
Raul.
4th.
No, rule.
Happy
Good night.
4th.
Night, Raul.
All right. Next up is continued request for hearing under notice of intent that has been previously continued. Next up, bear with me 1 second. All right. Next up is continued request for a hearing under an enforcement order. This is the one that gets kind of screwy, so I hope I'm going to say it right. I'm going to read the whole thing, even though we've separated. Susan and Gerald Lieber, 16 Lakeshore Drive North, because we've already continued 0 Lakeshore Drive North. Map and parcel 22-04-27-004A, Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of vegetation and construction of retaining walls within conservation jurisdiction. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Doug up from Cape and Islands Engineering to address this enforcement matter.
Mr. Snyder, you're up, sir.
Good evening, everyone. If I may share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if I can get the right plan up here. And can you see that all right?
Yes.
Excellent.
It's very
Good
small.
evening. It's very small. Does that make it any bigger?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Again, Doug Schneider from Cape and Islands here on behalf of the Liebers at 16 Lakeshore Drive is subject to this enforcement action that's been ongoing for a while. We have finally come to a restoration mitigation plan for some unauthorized changes on the lot. We were in front of the commission like a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago, to initially talk about this. And the plan you have in front of you identifies the specific areas in orange and yellow that were constructed without permit. These areas in here, walkways, part of a shed, which total up to, we've got a table that totals everything. We've got 114 square feet in the zone A, 51 square feet in zone B. And given the 2-to-1 and 3-to-1, we need just about 450 square feet of mitigation. I'm sorry, yeah, mitigation, I think that's the right term, which will be installed down next to the pond, which plantings are detailed over on the side, consisting of one black tupelo and then other plants to be placed 3 feet on center, consisting of an arrowwood wood or wild raisin, sweet pepper bush, inkberry, black choke, winterberry, in the area shown in green. And there's an area up at the top of the property that is currently, was constructed as a pea stone sitting area. That area will be removed, that pea stone area will be removed and restored with lawn. There's also an area, stone, pea stone that was installed behind the shed area that will be removed and replaced with lawn. And that's what we have for 16. And I think the goal for tonight is to get the enforcement moving forward here. They've engaged Maria Hickey to undertake the work as they have on, as was mentioned earlier, at 101 Lakeshore that's being dealt with right now. And they've also engaged Maria to work on developing a solid restoration plan for Zero, which is located over to the east from this lot. They're not actually adjacent. There's actually a small strip of land that's owned by an association between the two parcels, which is one of the reasons why they're being dealt with separately. And I will stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Doug. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have no questions. We worked with the property owner's representative to try to figure out what was going on in this property. I think we all came into agreement on the expansion of impervious surfaces, and they've applied the appropriate mitigation. My only question is, Doug, is that area currently vegetated with ornamentals?
I think it's lawn.
Okay.
I probably can find a picture of it if you would like me to.
Nope, that's fine. Thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Ms. Bergeron?
Thank you. Jen, I looked into that earlier. It is the planting bed, but there's really nothing in it.
Perfect. Thank you.
So that would be fine. Doug, I know that Jeff sent me some comments earlier. I admit I didn't get through all of them. Can you let us know where that Tupelo is going to be planted?
I think in Jeff's comments, there are 2 trees identified in the mitigation area. And then the tree would go between those or some other appropriate location that you.
Okay, yeah, we'll want to make sure there's enough room in the canopy for the tree to grow. We just made a note that based on that mitigation calculation, about 54 plants will be required to fill the area if you went that 3 feet on center. I noticed that the dock wasn't mentioned in the submittal. As we noted, it was constructed in a different reconfiguration. I don't think we would have a problem approving it in its current configuration, but the applicant should reach out to the Waterways Division to modify their Chapter 91 so that everything just matches amongst all the parties. And then can you also explain the Zone A and Zone B? Because given the presence of the BBW, that Zone A becomes that full 100 foot. And I saw that there was a Zone B. As I said, I didn't read through all of Jeff's comments. If you can just elaborate on that.
Yes, the site has 2 BVWs separated where the patio and the pier are along the water, and there's just basically beachfront along there. So there's 2 BVWs located north and south of the property. Since it's in the zone 2, the A zone from a BVW goes 100 feet from the BVW, but it doesn't. In the definitions, the bank doesn't fall within that 100 foot buffer. It's only the 75 foot A zone from the bank. So, but you have a 100 foot B zone from the bank. So
Okay.
the 100 foot B zone is actually further than the 100 foot A zone because they're not, use the term concentric, if you will. They're not coming off of the same line. So the A zone that we're showing comes off of the buffers, off of the BVW. And then the B zone comes off of the coastal bank.
Okay, so only the jurisdiction to the BBW you're saying has that 100 foot A zone, but the jurisdiction to the coastal bank is divided, as we would see, not in a zone 2.
There's no coastal
Pardon?
bank in this property. Are you
I'm
talking
sorry,
about the inland bank, Doug?
Inland bank, sorry.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, they kind of overlap, but if there's only one little tiny spot where the A zone from the inland bank exceeds the.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
From the buffer zone. I mean, from the BVW, and we don't even detail it so small.
Okay.
Thank you.
It all is in.
Yeah, we don't work with those too often when you have multiple, delineations and one of them's the full 100 foot, one's not. So thank you.
All right. I commend the applicant and the staff for working this out. It's been a long road, but it looks like we're there, or at least almost there. I'm going to say we're there. Commissioner comments, Kevin.
No comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, Melissa.
No comments, one question. Or 2 questions. One, CBDH found. What is CBDH? It's in the proposed mitigation planting area.
That is a concrete bound with a drill hole and CBD.
Oh, the drill hole. Okay. I thought it was a concrete pounder. Okay.
And that's located on the property, right on the property line.
Okay, so it's a drill hole. And then, Jen, are you comfortable leaving the brick patio and the fire pit down on the water down there?
Yeah, we've gone through it.
Okay.
We've painstakingly gone through it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm just confirming that you're comfortable with the brick patio staying right there.
Yeah, I
So
am.
the mitigations were, okay, great, thanks. No questions more.
All right, Steve.
No questions. Congratulations, Doug and staff. It has been a long road.
Courtney.
No questions.
All right, what are you thinking?
We close the hearing and take it under advisement. Is that the correct? Well, I'll make that motion.
Would it be issue an enforcement order, Jen? No?
Oh, yeah, this is under an enforcement order. So, yep, we will issue an enforcement order. We'll write that up and the board will vote it. So we can close this matter and issue the enforcement order at our next hearing.
All right,
So I move
We
that
have a
we
mo-
close this order and.
we already have the
and
motion. Is that a second?
he wanted to close the hearing, so it was just.
Yeah, I'm closing the hearing.
Courtney
and-
made the motion. Do you want to make the second?
No.
Pat, second.
Thank you.
What Courtney said and what Jen said don't sound the same to me. That's why I was going to adjust it. Okay.
So we're closing the hearing and issuing an enforcement order. That was the intent of the motion.
Okay.
All right. So we have a motion and a second to close this hearing for the purpose of issuing an enforcement order at our next meeting. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Right, guy.
Steve.
Pat, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing for the purposes of issuing an enforcement order. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you very much and good night, everyone.
Good night, Doug.
All right. All right, next up, vote orders of conditions. First up, Rory Reed, number 2, 8, 10, and 34 Wigwam Road, and number 61, 81, 87, and 93 Indian Ridge Road, Falmouth, Mass. Jen?
This is the Phragmites removal project. We have certain protocols that we can put into the order on how the Phragmites is to be removed. And the only thing is they had made a statement about developing a planting plan if need be, and I think the board should approve that. So if they do need to develop a planting plan to address some areas that haven't revegetated naturally with native species after the removal of the Phragmites, this board should see that plan under an amendment.
Am I on this quorum?
Actually, you're not, Courtney, and I just looked, you're not on the next couple, but I'd ask you to stick around for a second.
Yep, no
Please.
problem.
All right. All right, anything anybody else wants to see in there? Melissa?
Jen, there was some concern about some other work that had been done on the property that that might also need some mitigation. Are we going to jump that in, or are you guys pursuing that separately?
We're going to handle that.
Okay.
Alyssa, do you know the status of that? Have we reached out to?
To be honest, I haven't gotten there yet, but
Okay.
it's on my list. I just, I believe we're meeting with Mike tomorrow, if I remember correctly,
Great.
so I can bring it up then.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay. Great, thanks.
All right, anything else? All right, what are you thinking?
I move that we
Issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Second, O'Brien.
I wanted it to be
Uh,
precise, and I forgot what we were doing. I'm sorry.
I know there's so much going on. All right, so next time, instead of asking for a motion, I'll try to be more specific what I'm looking for a motion for.
No, it's
So in this
okay.
case, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions as discussed. Any more discussion? All right, seeing none, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. All right. Next up, Town of Falmouth, 0 Albatross Street, Falmouth, Mass. And
This is
again,
the
Courtney, you're not on
reconstruction.
this forum.
This is the reconstruction of the boat ramp. We will condition it the same as we've conditioned most other boat ramps we've done without the use of a cofferdam. So, they're gonna be working in the wet. It's gonna be tough. So the condition like during what tide cycles they can work. But it's fairly simple. We've almost
These are
replaced
precast, correct?
Yeah, we've almost replaced every boat ramp in town, so.
Right. All right. Melissa, I saw your hand.
Yeah, didn't DEP ask for a silt boom during winter flounder season as
Yep.
well? So
We'll
make
put
sure-
any restrictions that we received from DMF or Natural Heritage in there. I don't think there's anything from Natural Heritage, but we'll incorporate all of the recommendations from the Division of Marine Fisheries.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All right.
Thank you.
So the motion I'm looking for is to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
So moved, Freitag.
Second, O'Brien.
All right. Any more questions or comments? I asked, but I'm asking again. All right. We're voting. This is to issue an order of conditions as discussed. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up. Again, I'm going to trash the name and I apologize. No disrespect intended. Scott and Agnesika Dresser, trustees, 44 Walcoit Landing Road, Falmouth, Mass. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is project. They are doing several modifications to the existing lot. They're upgrading to a Title V. They're relocating a driveway. They're removing and relocating and rebuilding several staircases to the house. They're installing mitigation as well as reconstructing a garage that is outside of our jurisdiction.
All right. Any questions, comments, input? All
Trying
right.
to remember the property.
Ms. Bergeron.
Thank you. We did acknowledge there was a significant area of Japanese knotweed adjacent to where mitigations proposed, so we had recommended a root barrier. Also, the mitigation staking on the site was incorrect. I believe it might have been Jen who made the comment to condition that it's corrected in the field, just so we can confirm it. Not sure if you guys would like to do that there. And I think that's all I have.
All right. I think that was brought up and I think they acknowledged that
Mhm.
they would correct it. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to them. Melissa.
Yeah, I have in my notes here that there's discrepancy between what staff said was required and what Raoul said, and I think Raoul's number was bigger at 1317 square feet of mitigation. I'm wondering what number ultimately we're deciding on. Was it 1317 or 1137 square feet? I'd rather go with a larger number, but 1317.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was a typo. It should just say, I inverted the 3 and the 1. It was literally 1 square foot. They were off. So it should be 1317. I'm sorry.
1317. Okay, no, that's fine. So 1317 square feet of mitigation we're doing.
That's my nitpickiness there. Correct it by 1.
Okay. It's okay. Be precise.
All right. Anything else? All right. So the motion I'm looking for is to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
So moved, Freitag.
And second.
Second,
All right. We have a motion and multiple seconds to issue an order of conditions as discussed. If there's nothing further, we're voting. Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Okay.
Steve.
Pat and I,
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. And lastly, and this is why I asked Courtney to stick around, but I think I know what the answer is, but I'm going to read this anyway. Stanislav Kablikov, 19 Meadowood Lane, Falmouth, Mass. My quandary is
We don't
quorum.
have, yeah, we don't have a quorum.
Okay.
So we will need to schedule a meeting on July 3rd. That's Monday. What time is best for everyone for a quick 2-minute Zoom meeting? Well, Alyssa,
6
can you
a.m.
read the quorum for me, please?
Yes, the quorum is. Hold on, we have Jamie, Kevin, Steve. I believe Courtney had lost power last week and Melissa was closing her windows. So if either Courtney or Melissa or Betsy was on the quorum, if she'll be back in time, she could participate as opposed to one of them invoking the Mullen rule.
I believe that Betsy flies back into town Friday.
Was this the hearing where the lightning struck and
Yes.
Yeah,
I
was
kind
out in the
of
hail.
got blown up? Okay.
yeah. And I was out in the hail pulling in all my seedlings that survived. Thank you.
So,
Okay, so for clarification,
that
are we
was-
going
that was
to
the-
depend
that was the
on
easy part.
Betsy, or are we going to ask somebody to review the hearing? That's a question for Jen.
I'll try to get a hold of, I'll send Betsy a text. She is answering her text messages and let her know. And if she's unable to attend, I will reach out to either Courtney or Melissa to review the hearing and participate in the Zoom.
Why don't I review the hearing just in case? I'll
Okay,
swing
thank
by
you, Melissa.
tomorrow morning, I guess. And well, if somebody could send me everything, and then as
Yep.
long as it's not too early on Monday.
Well,
Yes,
what
it is.
time would you like? Jamie, what time works for you?
Don't go by me. Nobody wants to get up as early as I do.
Okay,
I do.
what,
7
Oh,
o'clock.
man.
Well, and I'm not gonna be there.
how
Sorry.
about 9? Would 9 work?
Yeah, let me double check my calendar.
9?
Mid-morning?
Hey, you see this thing on my shoulder?
Sorry, I
She
can
needs a
even
You
lot
have
of
to be dressed.
You know, it's school vacation. It's a long holiday weekend.
Guys,
Right,
9
so it should
o'clock.
be easier.
I have a 9 o'clock. I could do 9:30.
9:30 works.
Okay.
Kevin,
Sure.
sure? Okay. And I'll get a hold of Betsy. Now, so we're gonna go 9:30 Monday, July 3rd to vote 19 Meadowood.
Mm-hmm. Keep me in
Okay,
the loop
thank you.
if Betsy's making it or not, okay?
I
I'll
will,
review it anyhow.
I will.
Let me know if I'm needed for that one.
Okay, Court.
All right. Courtney, I didn't mean to make you wait, but that's why I
No,
I
that's
wasn't sure
fine.
what we're going to do.
You didn't think I was
All
gonna
right.
volunteer to read the stuff.
All right, last up, other business, BB Woods, poison ivy removal. Jen or Ms. Bergeron, I'm not sure.
Oh, Alyssa can fill you in on this one.
Yes, so we have had a request from a local who lives very close to BB Woods and utilizes one of the trail systems. She noticed that there was a good portion of poison ivy growing along the trail, and she has reached out to a local, for lack of a better word, goat organization, in which, goats can come and help remove invasives by munching on them. So she's reached out and gotten us a quote. Hopeful that the commission, as being the property owners of BB Woods, would allow her to organize the matter, schedule the goat company to come out sometime this summer or fall for 2 to 3 hours to walk along the select trail and eat up as much poison ivy as they can.
That's amazing. Just amazing.
sounds like a wonderfully natural way to control a native species. Are goats native to the Cape?
Well, they live here.
I know. I'm kidding.
Do goats get poison ivy?
Goats love
Not
poison ivy.
Does it regrow where they poop? Never mind. All right. So we want to vote on that?
Yep, so you'd be voting on approval as the property owner to have this organization come onto the property to do the work. There's a small fee. Again, it would be 2 to 3 hours. It's pretty minimal for, the work that's being done. So it would be approving those two things.
Okay. Melissa?
You said small fee. Is that?
There's an hourly fee to hire the goats. I believe it's 75 an hour. It'll be 2 to 3 hours. So
We have that in
to
petty cash somewhere.
We're on the hook to pay for that? Is that where we're going?
We'll work with the person that requested it.
Okay.
All right.
And you guys
so
have
the
vetted
motion-
have you vetted the goat company?
They're local. I believe they've been used on different projects. I personally haven't spoken to them, but
They did work on Peterson Farm, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, they do a great job.
Just making sure they're
Start the goats
legitimate.
for a week. All right, the
Oh.
motion I'm looking for is to allow access onto the property with the goats and to allow staff to work out the fee structure.
Oh, so moved, Freitag.
Bird second.
Make it so much easier, Jamie, when you spell
You
it
know,
out.
I just have to remember what I said now. All right, so.
I think
we have
Kristen
a-
knows what you said.
Do the
Yeah.
goats get scale wages?
I bet this is like
Family money.
4th of July holiday Sundays,
they get lunch.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second to feed the goats. We're voting.
Can I borrow
Courtney,
them?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag guy.
Steve?
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have approved the luncheon for the goats. All right, folks.
I move that we
there's no-
adjourn. Oh,
There's no meeting next week. Except for the
Wait a
special
minute.
meeting for Monday,
Yeah.
so.
Oh.
But next Wednesday, there's no meeting. So just a friendly reminder. All right. Melissa, you had a motion?
yeah, I move that we adjourn until July 3rd at 9:30 in the morning.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion, a second to adjourn.
Bird aye.
Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Freitag guy.
And Pat and I.
Woo.
It is unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Night,
Good night.
everyone.
Good night.
All right, everyone. Happy 4th of July. Thank you.
Bye.
And you,
Thank you.